Hello, booktube. I'm Marilyn Maya, and thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Today I'm so excited about this video because next month is Nonfiction November, which is one of my favorite booktube events of the year. And I wrote down some things about why that is true. But first I wanted to talk to you about some books. As some of you know, I went on a trip last month that didn't turn out that well, and I forgot that, but I did go to Shakespeare and Company, and I forgot to mention on the video my Shakespeare and Company book haul, and I guess because it's so small, and I wanted to talk to you about it first. So I'm going to talk about a few books that I picked out as a preview, a kickoff of my Nonfiction November, and I plan to add more books as next month goes on. So this is just a little preview. And the first book that I want to talk about is, which I needed a lot last month when I got this book, is How to Relax. And I had never heard of this author, but he's famous, I found out. His name is Nhat. I hope I'm saying that right. And he's the father of mindfulness, says the Irish Times. And he's a world-renowned writer, poet, scholar, and Zen Buddhist monk who lives mostly in the monastic community he founded in France. So again, I talked about this in my last video, that one reason that I really enjoyed Shakespeare and Company and bringing home books, actually buying books, is because a lot of them are set or have something to do with France. So I just found that out. And I haven't read the whole thing yet because I sort of got stuck. But let me just tell you something that made me kind of laugh. He says, "You are probably breathing in and out right at this moment. I hope you are." So he has a sense of humor. And then he has notes on relaxing. And I found this very interesting, and I wanted to share this with you. It says, "Whenever animals in the forest are wounded, they rest. They look for a very quiet place and just stay there without moving for many days. They know it's the best way for their body to heal. During the time, they may not even eat or drink. The wisdom of stopping and healing is still alive in animals, but we human beings have lost the capacity to rest." I just love that. But I said I got stuck, and when I got stuck is when he talks about the awareness of breathing. I find it very hard to mindfully breathe because I start trying to change my breath, and then before you know it, I'm going, which is not really good for relaxing. But I'm looking forward to getting through this book very slowly. And as I said, it has a Shakespeare and Company stamp. So I forgot to talk about this, but I think it's worthwhile to check out. Now, the next book I want to talk about is a book that I talked about already, and it's not a book I'm going to talk about, it's a DVD. But it's a Pulitzer Prize winning book of not last year, I think it's 2010. But it's called The Emperor of All Maladies, and it's about a biography of cancer by Siddarhartha Muktherjee. And I read it, but I have to admit a lot of it went over my head. I love science, but in some, when you go into specifics of cancer, which is very specific and very terrible, and the history, it was a little over my head. So I took out a movie based on the book, and it's called Ken Burns Presents Cancer, the Emperor of All Maladies, a film by Barak Goodman and based on the book by Siddarhartha Muktherjee. And I'm going to listen to this tonight, and I'm hoping that even though I really enjoyed the book, I want to get a more intense experience and a more knowledgeable experience. And let me tell you why I'm interested in this. I started listening to a lot of cancer vloggers, and it's happening to younger and younger people, which is different than it had been, except for maybe leukemia. And he talks a lot about leukemia in the book, and how there's almost a cure for it, and hopefully there'll be a cure for cancer in the future. But it's happening to more and more younger and younger people, which is different. And it's also being misdiagnosed. And I have another book in another video, a nonfiction book, about how women are misdiagnosed in general more than men are. And when it happens with cancer, it's a tragedy. So I'm really looking forward to watching this video, and I'm going to try to watch it tonight. So if you've watched this, let me know if it gave you a better idea of the book, which I really enjoyed. Okay, then I have a book that pertains to me, and cancer doesn't pertain to me, but it pertains to a lot of people I know. And I found this out, I think it was, on one of those entertainment shows. And I watched this program in the US called The Voice, and I think it's all around the world. And John Legend is one of the very, very good judges in that program. I really love singing. I've always loved singing. But his wife is, I think she was originally an influencer. I'm not sure exactly how she became famous. Her name is Chrissy Teigen. And there was just a little note that this book made her stop drinking. And it's called Quit Like a Woman, The Radical Choice to Not Drink in a Culture Obsessed with Alcohol, by Holly Whitaker. And I think this is a feminist view on why women drink and how they can stop drinking. And it's I think I said that Chrissy Teigen stopped drinking because of this book. And it says, we live in a world obsessed with drinking. We drink at baby showers and work events, brunch and book clubs. Book clubs. I've never done that though. Graduations and funerals, yet no one ever questions alcohol's ubiquity. In fact, the only thing ever questioned is why someone doesn't drink. And I've had that. And I'm not a total non-drinker. I drink a little wine on Friday nights, and when I travel, I'll have a drink. But I'm definitely not a drinker. But I know in my life there are a few people who do drink. So I wanted to know and maybe share with them some tips. And that's what's so good about nonfiction. You learn, but I'll get to that in a while. And it says, as a society, we're preoccupied with health and wellness, yet we uphold alcohol as a kind of magic elixir, though it is anything but. And so this is a memoir, but I think it's more than a memoir. I think it's also a feminist view of why women drink and how they can stop. So, you can tell that by the Quit Like a Woman. So when Holly Whitaker decided to seek help after one too many benders, she embarked on a journey that led not only to her sobriety, but revealed the insidious role alcohol plays in our culture and the lives of women in particular. What's more, she could not ignore the way that alcohol companies were targeting women, just as the tobacco industry had successfully done years before. And fueled by her own emerging feminism, she also realized that the predominant systems of recovery are archaic, patriarchal, and ineffective for the unique needs of women and other historically oppressed people. I think this is going to be a really interesting book, and a way of seeing a topic like alcohol or alcoholism in a different vein, in a woman's vein. How to Quit Like a Woman. Okay. The next book I have to admit that I thought was going to be a little bit different. I didn't read it yet, but I still thought it was going to be different because I loved the title. It's a New York Times bestseller. It's called How to Do Nothing, Resisting the Attention Economy by Jenny Odell. Now I say what I thought it was going to be was more on the vein of economics and how women and men are sort of forced into, keeping up with the Joneses and something like that. But it's more, she says that the book is more like essays because it changed as she kept on writing the book into something else. So what is it about? So it's a complex, smart, and ambitious book that at first reads like a self-help manual, then blossoms into a wide-ranging political manifesto. So I might need to get the video or the audio on this before. So, and what I got out of it so far, I haven't read it, but I was just skimming, and it's paying attention to life, paying attention, and that's really very interesting. We pay attention a lot to our phones, right? Even I'm guilty of that too, since I got an iPhone. But we're missing out on really paying close attention to the life that we're living. And I think that's what she's talking about, because at one point she says, what do we pay attention to? In her case, it was birds. She loves birds. I love birds too. And she said something also about what are birds thinking about us? And that's something, when you're paying attention, you think things like that. When I was a kid, I used to think about trees. I felt that they were alive, and I used to hug trees before the 60s. So I wasn't a tree hugger in the 60s, but in the 50s, I really was. So we're resisting the attention economy. Attention economy is what I think it is, without reading the book, is what Madison Avenue and other self-help, so-called self-help, and jobs is trying to get our attention away from maybe what we shouldn't be paying attention to, and paying more attention to our life. At least that's what I think it is without reading it. But she does say something also about time, how time is so important, and how she was talking about an author who said, he put the important things about creativity, and he put time as both of those things. I'll have the information down in the description box about that author. I don't remember right at this moment. Okay, so what else? Now, this is a very sad book, and I'm very careful about the sad books that I read, especially because, it can bring, make you feel bad, bring depression, and nobody wants that. But on the other hand, we have to know injustices that are going on. And this is called The Good Girls, An Ordinary Killing by Sonia Faleiro. And it's about a small, very small town in northern India, where two girls were found hanging in a tree. And I guess it was considered an ordinary killing in that area. So the girls' names were Padma and Lali, but they were so inseparable that people in the village called them Padma Lali. 16-year-old Padma sparked and burned. 14-year-old Lali was an incorrigible romantic. So they grew up in this village. It was out in one square mile, out in the fields, in the middle of the mango system that the rumors started. So I'm thinking this is sort of the inciting incident, if you were writing a novel or reading a novel, but in a true story, well, she's writing a book, a nonfiction book, also has inciting incidents. Then one night in the summer of 2014, the girls went missing. Hours later, they were found hanging in the orchard, their clothes muddied. Who they were and what happened to them was already less important that what their disappearance meant to those they left behind. So then there's an investigation. It would implode everything that their small community held to be true and instigate a national conversation about sex and violence. So this is not going to be an easy read by any means, but I think it's an important read. And I think it goes into what I'm going to talk about, why nonfiction is important and why I plan to read a lot of nonfiction next month, starting this month. So the first thing is, of course, knowledge we learn. When I was very young, I started with fairy tales, but very soon after I wanted to know things. I wanted to learn things. So nonfiction is an invaluable source of knowledge and information. Before the internet, that's how we learn things. That's how I learn things. So you can discover different subjects in depth, history, so many science. I mean, people by biographies, and so it says that whatever you're interested in, history, psychology, philosophy, it provides you an opportunity to delve into these subjects like more closely, and of course, empathy and understanding. I think that when you read about different cultures, it deepens your empathy and understanding of that culture. So it's good to lessen hate in this world. There's always going to be hate, unfortunately, and but in people that are willing to open their minds and hearts and try to understand, walk a mile in someone else's shoes. I think that reading about other cultures and people will really lessen that to some degree, to people that are willing to do that. Of course, there's personal growth, and I think that's gone a little bit too far in the growth and development, because there's so many charlatans out there who say you can make $1 million in a month if you do this, this, and this. So that's not the kind of self-development that I'm interested in, or I think that is personal growth at all. But there are books that can help you grow in different ways, in different areas of your life. So that's important. And in the case of memoir in particular, yeah, you can be inspired and learn from somebody else's either mistakes or their life stories, and motivate you to live a better life, I guess. And of course, staying informed about different subjects. Though sometimes I think the news is not the best way of staying informed. I mean, the news on the internet, the news on TV. It can get very repetitive and depressing. But when you read a book, I think when you read nonfiction, say news, politics, or whatever, I think you're really getting more out of just the headlines, so to speak. So anyway, I plan to show you a lot of books in the coming months, different areas that I'm interested in the nonfiction field, from true crime, which was something I used to devour in my 20s. And though it might sound grotesque to like true crime, and we know that the podcasts of true crime are really up there, so I wasn't alone, but it sort of helped me. It helped me with my anxiety, which is weird, right? But it helps you think that, okay, I'm a little bit more prepared. I see what the psychology of these different people who commit crimes are like, and how to avoid them, maybe, or maybe not in some cases. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, And I hope that you will tune in again. By the way, thank you for watching my short. It didn't have anything to do with books, but it was about, and I wanted to tell you that the dog in the window was not for sale. He belonged to the dress shop owner, and he was just chilling in his little bed in the window. But it really cracked me up, and that was when I was in the Netherlands, Haarlem, the Netherlands. And I love animals so much, and that's one of the nonfiction areas that I love to read about, especially dogs. I'm a dog person, but I'm also a cat person, all kinds of animals. I love animals so much. So I'm going to be reading a lot about animals. Yay! So until we meet again, my friends, I wish you all health, happiness, everything your heart desires. And of course, I'm in Hawaii, so aloha!